Hey everyone, thank you for watching. Today's video I'm excited to do, I'm going to be trying out the Tati Beauty Blendiful. So I did purchase this myself. I'm going to be trying it out for the first time today here on camera, giving my thoughts on them, seeing if I can figure out how to use these, because I think that's kind of what I'm most nervous about, to be honest. But that's it. That's what we're doing for today's video. So let's just get started. I just have a little bit of eyeshadow on from the Tati Beauty Textured Neutrals Volume 1 palette, just a little something to get me started, a little bit of mascara right here, but that's it. So I'm going to jump in with primer. I will leave a Tati's video down below where she goes more in depth about the Blendiful, about why she wanted to create something like this, and kind of the best ways that she uses it. And she does have in there like little clips of applying products with the Blendiful, but she hasn't uploaded her full. She said in that video that she was going to have a full like demonstration video. I'm still waiting for that, but there has been quite a few videos that have gone up. I know I've watched Allie Glines, I've watched Katy or Lesser Lux. I just finished watching ThatGirlShae, so I'll link some other videos down below if you want to see more of them. I think one reason why I say that I'm nervous is because I'm not a makeup artist. I'm completely self-taught when it comes to makeup. And so sometimes when I'm trying newer things or even just like newer techniques, I get a little bit nervous, especially when you're trying something out for the first time on the internet. And you know, if you don't get something right, people get very mad at you. So that's kind of what I'm most nervous about. But I was really curious when I saw these come out. Again, like I said, I did buy these myself. You get them with the 2-pack, so you get the larger one and then also the smaller one that's shaped like a heart, and it is $18 on the Tati Beauty website. When I saw them and I saw Tati explaining what they were, I was like, you know what, like I'm open to giving it a try. I'm a little bit nervous about it, sure, but I am open to giving it a try, so that's why I went ahead and bought them myself. I typically do like to apply my foundation and my concealer, a lot of times my powder. I like to use a damp sponge over a brush, so I'm curious if I will like these more than I do a sponge. I'm also really curious about that you can do like your whole face with this one. Primer, foundation, concealer, powder, you know, cream contour, bronzer, blush, highlight, all of that, all like your liquid or cream products you can apply with this. So I'm really curious because it also seems very kind of like on the go type of friendly, especially because you do use it dry. That's one of my big problems with a sponge. I live in a pretty small town, so when I go to larger towns to either like shop or see friends, a lot of times I just put together an on-the-go makeup bag and I'll get ready once I get there, or if my husband's driving, I get ready in the car type of thing. And one thing that I've noticed that I really dislike is that I can never get my sponge wet. So sometimes I will try to wet my sponge before I leave, but then that feels kind of weird. There's been times where I've sprayed it with my like setting spray I have in there. There's been times where I've been trying to dump water from a water bottle onto my sponge. So it's kind of hard in those situations. So kind of curious if maybe I would like it for that reason. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a try. So Tati did mention in her video that with primer she thinks that it's best to use pore filling primer. She said to probably stay away from something that's more hydrating or moisturizing. So I went through all of my primers and I decided to pull out an old one. This is from Milk Makeup. This is the Blur Stick. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna put my fingers in the back here like this, and then I'm just going to run a little bit right on here like so. I don't have a mirror, so that's not great. Let me go grab a mirror. Got a mirror. We are moving on up in this world, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start to run that over the areas where I have I forgot how close I was. Hello. Like I said, I've been watching some different reviews. I feel like so far it's been pretty positive, so I'm gonna try it out. This is my first impression, so I'll come back after I've tried it a lot more and let you know what I think. I will actually be in Vegas next week, and I'm going to take this one along also and kind of test it out for those like on the go purposes, if you will. I'm also gonna do some on my chin down here. I want to say that I am doing just like a little casual Vegas meet up. We have the group chat going right now. It's going to be myself, Michelle Wong, Risa Does Makeup, and Jamie from Glam Latte. So the 4 of us we are just finalizing our plans now. So I'll leave a pinned comment if you're in the Vegas area or you think you would want to stop by. This is with that Milk Primer. I think it did a pretty good job blending out the pores, especially in my T-zone area. So that is where I'm going to go ahead and leave the primer. Then we're going to go and move over to foundation. So I'm going to use this one from Pure. This is the 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. I have the shade LG5. Just what I feel like wearing today, and it's a foundation that I've worn a lot and that I really do like. So I didn't want to use something like newer and then use a new tool at the same time, because you don't really know what's going to happen there. I'm also going to wash my sponge when we are done so we can see how it washes, how it wears, and all of that. So stay tuned because I will be doing that also. So I think with this one, it just has a pump on it. I think I'm just gonna put it on the same area right here. I mean, there definitely is, like Tati said, there's a lot of real estate on here. There's a lot of places you can go, but I am going to also do concealer, powder, cream contour, cream highlight, and cream blush. This part I feel like is what is going to be the weirdest to me, is like the swiping motions, because I'm not used to putting foundation like that. I'm used to more of like that, you know, like this type of motion with the sponge. But in her video, it looked like she did more of a swipe. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm kind of swiping it all over, and then I'm going to kind of press in like this. Okay. I'm kind of wondering if it would look more streaky on my face, versus I feel like with a sponge, especially a damp sponge, it just helps you have that more airbrush finish. So I was pretty curious of what the finish would be, but I mean, so far so good. Okay, so here's half of my face with the foundation on, and then this side does not have any foundation yet. I feel like that looks pretty good. My nose is pretty dry right now, so I have some dry patches on my nose, but I feel like you're gonna see that with anything. Even when I did my foundation yesterday, that's what I noticed. I just have a dry nose at this moment. I live in Iowa. It is freezing. It's snowing right now. It's really fantastic. But I feel like that side of my face looks pretty good. Huh, okay. I don't notice anything like kind of coming off. That's another thing I was wondering, would like, I don't know, with the hairs or anything like come off onto my foundation? I don't know. So I'm gonna do a little bit more, and I didn't think that it really absorbed or soaked up a lot of the foundation, because I actually used a little bit more than I probably needed to for only one side of my face. But for some reason, I kind of automatically thought this is going to kind of it's going to eat up some of the product, so I probably need more. And I very quickly was like, oh no, that didn't need to be a thing. So I'm going to try to do just a little bit less on this side, because I don't think that it's going to soak up the product, which is, I mean, that's a good thing. That's awesome. Like that, I mean, you can kind of, you can manipulate this to however it best suits you, or if you want to like, I mean, roll it up. Like, there's a lot of different ways that you can decide that you want to use this. So I'm just kind of doing what I feel like is best coming naturally to me. I heard Allie Glines say quite a bit that she felt like the sponge was very intuitive, like you just kind of got a feel for it right away. And I would agree. I think everyone's going to, you know, probably want to use it differently, or it's going to feel best using it differently for different reasons. But like so far, I'm not really having any sort of issue with that. I like it because I feel, you know, if you want to change it into like different shapes, you could easily get around your brows. I typically don't do brows until I have foundation on because I'm kind of a sloppy person, but even around the nose, I will tend to miss like right here on my nose, or like right here. If you see that dot, that's actually a scar from getting my nose pierced in college, but I will miss foundation like right here, and it'll be a big circle of missed foundation for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it happens to me quite a bit. But I feel like with this one I can really easily make sure that I'm getting right up in there. And then we have this side as well for the foundation. So I'm pretty impressed with the foundation, and I felt like that was going to be one of my biggest tests. I actually don't use cream products a ton. If you're newer to my channel, I kind of just prefer powder products, but every once in a while I get a wild hair and I use some cream products, and this is what my sponge is looking like right now. But I feel like that blended in really nice. Again, I kind of had, even though I've seen a few videos now and I've seen people liking it, but I was like, I know I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna like screw it up, because, you know, sometimes I get a little bit down on myself because I don't feel like, especially with so many people that I watch on YouTube, they just have the most magical, beautiful skills. I'm like, you're gonna screw it up. And I was expecting just like streaks. I was expecting like hairs, and then something about this being dry. I think that's what's kind of weirded me out the most, because, you know, even like telling my girlfriends who aren't super into makeup and they come out with their makeup sponge or their beauty blender, and I'm like, did you get it damp? And they're like, oh, you're supposed to use it damp. I'm like, oh, how did you use it dry? I was like, how am I going to use this dry? I don't understand. But so far, so good. Okay, I'm going to move on to concealer. I'm going to use this one from Charlotte Tilbury because I've been loving it. So this is the, oh, what is this? Because the name isn't on here. It's like the Vanish concealer, and I have the shade 1 Fair, so it looks like this. So a lot of times I just put my brush or my sponge right into it. So again, I'm just gonna kind of keep going with this right here. I'm gonna kind of scrunch it up a little bit like so, and just apply some right here. One thing that I'm thinking about right now is, because I do tend to lean on the dry side, or I have really dehydrated skin right now, and I'm sure the weather conditions outside are not helping. I almost wonder if I was using the damp sponge, if maybe some of my dryness and my dry patches that I have, maybe they wouldn't be, maybe they would help be covered a little bit or not as noticeable if I was using something that had moisture or hydration. I think sometimes that's why I do lean towards a damp sponge, especially because I've been dry for so many years. My skin's kind of changing a little bit at the moment. Like I said, I think that my skin is really dehydrated right now too, but I think that's why I've liked the sponge, is for that extra bit of hydration. But that's just one thing that I wanted to point out. But again, I did my makeup the day before that I'm using it, and I did use a sponge, and you know, I could still see my dry patches. I just feel like maybe they weren't quite as noticeable as I feel like what they are today. So that is one thing that I'll say. But I'm gonna go ahead and move over to powder. I actually don't feel like I'm gonna put the concealer anywhere else. I feel like that's gonna be pretty good right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and move over to powder. I'm gonna use this one from Lawless. This is just a loose powder. I'm gonna kind of fold. I feel like I keep using one spot, but I swear I'm gonna use more spots. but I think about a sponge. A lot of times when I use a sponge for a full face, and if I am using a lot of cream products, I mean, a sponge is so much smaller, so everything is kind of mixing together or whatnot. But I don't, just giving it a shot here. That I can get so close under my lash line. Sometimes I feel like I can't get that close even with a sponge. Alright, so powder is down on my under eye skin. I feel like I have really dry under eyes at this moment, so I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell. I don't feel like I absolutely love it. So that is where I'm going to pause for a second, and then a lot of times if I am dealing with more dry skin, after I do my concealer and powder, I spray my face to, again, just kind of bring a little bit more hydration in. I'm going to move over to a cream bronzer. I'm going to use my what is this called? The Double Take Sculpt and Strobe Duo Stick in Fair Lady from Uoma Beauty. So usually when I am using this, I do just apply it directly to my face. So that is what I'm gonna go ahead and do. So this is where I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna go ahead and kind of fold it over and then use the side. And Tati said you can really kind of feel your cheekbone that way and start to blend it out and blend it up. And sometimes I get a little carried away when it comes to like cream bronzer, so I do use a powder to clean up also. So I'm gonna do that a little bit later. And again, I don't work with cream products a ton, so I felt like when I was just kind of laying it on its side and going like this, I felt like I could really see, and you can still kind of see like the harsher line there. So what I'm doing is kind of pressing my index finger right in there and then just really kind of tapping over it, and I feel like that's helping it look more natural. Once I did that, I like that a lot more. I think that looks really good because I also think I applied more cream product to this side than the other side. And I feel like as I'm doing this, and I'm using my middle finger to kind of press it in, but I feel like my initial thought is like I'm going to be like lifting. I'm going to be lifting the product up, but I don't notice that because I can definitely still see that it's blending out. I don't feel like it's picking up my my foundation that I've already put down. So I'm impressed about that. Honestly, I feel like my forehead looks really good. Okay, bronzer, I was a little bit concerned at first, and maybe I do need to do that here on the other side. Kind of press in right here. I was a little bit concerned at first. I wasn't really sure we were going down a good path, but I honestly think that this looks pretty nice. I'm just gonna use a little bit more of that Lawless Powder and clean up right here. So I just kind of folded the sponge over like this. This is something that I've been trying to do more in my makeup routine because I do feel like it just helps things look a little bit cleaner. Again, sometimes I'm on the go a lot, or I'm just busy. I wear a lot of different hats career-wise. So I just feel like I'm always kind of like rush, rush, rush. But even just doing something like this, I feel like it can really make a big difference, and I always see people on YouTube doing it, and I'm like, who has the time for that? But it doesn't take that much longer, and it really can help your makeup look a lot cleaner. Bronzer, I'm happy with. So let me go ahead and move over to blush. Oh, I can't find the cap. Oh, here it goes. Whew, I couldn't find the cap. I was like, that's a really dangerous thing to be leaving out and about without a cap on. So I'm going to use this cream blush from Ilia. This is one of their Color Haze Multi Matte Pigments. This is in Waking Up. So typically when I use this, I will put a little bit on the back of my hand, and then I'll pick it up with the sponge. So I'm going to pick it up with the Blendiful like I would that way. So just add a little bit to the back of my hand, and then I'm going to grab a little bit here. So I'm going to kind of roll it up like this, and I kind of like do one of these because again, I don't use cream products a ton, and I've been burned so bad by cream and liquid blushes in the past. So I definitely have like the start small, build up type of approach when it comes to liquid blushes. So that's what I do instead of just putting it right on my face or like squeezing some directly onto the sponge. It's just kind of easier for me to do it that way. That's pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna do just a little bit more. I think I went a little bit harder with the blush on this side. Do you guys do that? Because I did it with the bronzer over here too, and a lot of times I do it with eyeshadow. A lot of times I do the right side of my face first. I don't know if it's because I'm right-handed, and then I do the left, and I almost always go overboard on products on my left-hand side. Is that like a thing? Is there like a known cure for that? I don't know what that's about. So I'm just going to tap it in, and then a lot of times what I do if I go overboard, whether it be with bronzer or with blush, I come back to my sponge and kind of tap over it to help it kind of blend together and mix a little bit better. So I'm just coming back to the sides where I used like the foundation and concealer, and then I'm just gonna tap right over the blush to help it blend in. Okay, and I think that helped it a lot. Use the highlight on the Uoma Beauty Double Take Stick, has a highlight on the other side, and a lot of times with the highlight I've been applying it directly to the sponge because I like a little bit more oomph when it comes to my highlight. This is a little bit more natural, so I'm actually just, this kind of feels weird, I'm just gonna rub some on my Blendiful here, and I have it kind of folded up like this. I do like how big it is actually, because I feel like you really can do a lot of, you can hold it a lot of different ways. And then I'm gonna go ahead and press on this highlight. Again, I feel like with this highlight I have to layer it and layer it. Again, I don't even have a lot of cream. I just don't have a lot of cream products in general, but especially highlight. I haven't noticed it picking up product either, which I'm happy about, because again, just kind of one of my concerns was, is that going to happen? So, and the Uoma Beauty highlight is just so natural. Pretty, because again, I feel like I go overboard on this side. I don't know what it is. I use more product on my left side. Why is that? Nose is so dry. I'm so sorry, nose. Our temperatures have been like in the like a high of 0 degrees type of thing, and just so dangerously cold outside. I have a dog and I just feel so bad for her, and I know that she is so bored and I just feel so terrible for her. But okay, so that is it right here. So this is what my face is looking like using the Blendiful to apply primer, foundation, concealer, powder, cream bronzer, cream blush, cream highlight. What are we thinking so far? I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my face, and then I will come back to give my final thoughts. Hey guys, okay, it's been a hot minute since I have sat down, but I have finished off the rest of my makeup, and I also thought I would hang out for a bit. Like, I ate lunch and stuff, and because I want to try to use the smaller Blendiful here. So Tati said this can be good for like touching up, and you can throw this in your purse, and you can use it by itself, or you can use it with a powder. So I have a powder here, but I want to try it by itself first too, and see what I'm thinking, because I feel like I'm just maybe a little bit shinier like right here in my forehead, and a little bit right here too. So I want to go ahead and use this and see how it works. I like the idea, and especially if this works well without powder, I like the idea of this, because this will be really nice to throw into a purse, because I kind of have one brush. It's from Sephora and it's a mini. It was a Rouge gift one year. That's typically what I bring for powder, though I don't think it's like the best powder brush. It's what I use so I can throw it in my purse, or I can throw it in my clutch. So this, which I just randomly did this, but this is just like so small that you can even throw it into a clutch. It's not like a brush where you're worried about like the bristles, you know, doing anything crazy. And it's also not a damp sponge, which is wet, and you don't want to, you know, put it in. So I don't know, I'm really curious about this one too, so I definitely wanted to try it. And I feel like with this one, I've seen, it's not that I'm a makeup artist and do makeup on other people, but I see people use something like this when like getting up close to other people and apply makeup. I'm just gonna go ahead and take the smaller Blendiful here, and I'm just going to just kind of pat it along here right in the center of my forehead, where I feel like I was kind of showing a little bit more oil. It did a good job, but I don't know, like, did it pick, I don't feel like it really picked up the foundation, but it helped take away some of that shine. Okay, so let me try. I'm gonna do the same thing kind of right here along the side of my nose. All right, and then just a little bit on my chin. So yeah, I really don't feel like you have to use powder with this one either, so that's good. So this could actually be pretty nice for those on-the-go touch-ups. Okay, and again, you get both of these for the $18. I don't feel like that's terrible for the price, because a lot of times like the Beauty Blender or some other higher priced makeup sponges are typically around $20 for one. There's definitely more affordable options, and I like a lot of more affordable ones too. Some of my favorite sponges are a little bit more expensive, like the Dose of Colors I think is 18. The Ophir one I want to say is maybe like 15, and I feel like those are some of my most used, but like L'Oreal has a good one, Flower Beauty, Morphe has nice sponges too, and I believe that those are under $10. But again, you are getting two different products with this one, and then this is quite a bit larger than the like makeup sponge that you would get. So far so good. I feel like things are pretty positive right now. Again, this is a first impression, and again, I went into it a little bit leery just because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get a good hang of it. You know, I'm definitely someone who, I get in my comfort zone. I don't like change a lot. So I was a little bit nervous of would I be able to apply things correctly and all of that. I think I'm also feeling nervous because I know my skin is really dry right now, and I have a lot of dry patches on my skin. So also to do like foundation and to be so zoomed in and up close, it just, you know, obviously like makes me a little bit insecure and all of that. But I hope that you were at least able to still enjoy kind of the demo. So I don't know if I would use this for primer a ton, because I actually am someone who I use more hydrating or more moisturizing primers usually because of my more dry and dehydrated skin type. Definitely foundation and concealer and powder, I would use this for a lot. Even if I was using the cream, bronzer, and blushes, I think that this is a nice tool. I think this will be something good for on the go or a travel bag. I think it's going to be a lot easier to go around with instead of a sponge. I was leery about it being dry at first, but I like it. I didn't feel like there was any streaking with it. It wasn't like I was worried about shedding. I didn't have any of those issues. I am going to still clean it and see what I think about that, but I don't know, I have to say so far so good. I think there's just going to be maybe a little bit of a learning curve of like what's the best way to press it in, because again, when I was doing the bronzer, I felt like I had such that harsh line, and then I realized that really taking it and, you know, kind of pressing it in is what worked best. I really do like that it didn't seem to take up a lot of especially my foundation, because even though I applied more to this side because I felt like it would soak up, it really didn't, and I still feel like it blended it out nicely, and it was quick. You know, I was taking my time and going a little bit slower because I'm on camera and I'm trying it out and I'm trying to see everything, but I feel like once you do get the hang of this, it can be really quick to apply, and you don't have to run to your bathroom to wet your makeup sponge. Very interesting. So first impression, I feel like is pretty positive. I feel like I'm pretty excited about this. Again, I did purchase it myself. I really like the idea of this little guy too. I was a little bit leery with it because I was someone who didn't quite get it, because, you know, I've gotten makeup puffs in products before, like especially powder products, but I've always looked at these and thought, powder products, like this is what I apply my finishing powder with or my setting powder with or things like that. I wouldn't look at this and immediately think I'm going to use my cream and liquid products on it. Now that I was able to try something different, again, just like Tati said, like she didn't invent this concept, and you know, makeup puffs have been around for a while, but she tried to put her own spin on it and make it, you know, available for a lot of people, and so far I think that she did a really nice job. I'm pretty darn happy with it. Will it become an absolute favorite of mine? We'll just have to see over time as I get ready to do my makeup. Do I keep reaching for this, or do I keep wanting to go for my sponge? I don't know. So this is a first impression. I'll definitely come back to give it my review and, you know, try this out a few more times and see what I think. I'll put both of these in my travel bag to Vegas and, you know, see how they hold up, see how they travel and all of that. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments. Did you purchase this, or will you purchase this? I would love to know, but I do want to go ahead and wash this now. So let's go into the bathroom. Guys, so I am in the bathroom now, so sorry if there's an echo in here, but you know, don't really film in here. So I have the Blendiful sponges here, so we're just gonna go ahead and give them a try. A lot of times I use a lot of cleaning products from Sigma Beauty, so this is the SigmaMagic brush shampoo foam. So this is what I'm gonna use. I know she said you just need soap and water, but I don't have like Dawn or Dove or anything like that, and this is what I normally use when I clean my sponges. So I'm just gonna start by getting it wet, and then I'm gonna add a little bit of foam on here, and I'm just gonna work it in. So I'm just gonna turn the water back on, run it under the water, and once I like squeeze it out, this is what it looks like. So after the first pass, I can definitely still see some makeup on it, some here at the bottom. You can see like where the blush was also. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add some more of the SigmaMagic foam. I know that she said that you can also like put these in a lingerie bag and put it actually like in the washer. Wring it out here. Okay, I don't know if I feel like this is very clean yet still. You know, I can still see some blush here and a little bit of makeup products too. Usually I just need to do, I mean, sometimes if my sponge is like really dirty, if I've used it several times, you know, sometimes I notice that I have to use a little bit more. And I might also be being too gentle on it, because sometimes with my sponges, I'm like, rah, like really getting in there. And, you know, I might be being a little bit more gentle with it because it's kind of a different product. It's also, you know, I've only used it one time sort of thing. So, you know, sometimes when you've used sponges so many times and you're like, okay, I know it's getting to the end of the road, and you're just a little bit more aggressive with it. So, you know, that could definitely be it too. But I'm really going to try to pay attention to where I used a lot of the makeup, like down here. And I'll definitely try other ways to clean it too. Like I said, this is just what I normally do for sponges. So I wanted to see if that would work, but you know, maybe there's a better way too. I think it's not losing its shape though. Like every time I squeeze it, you know, it's coming back to the shape. She said that it does dry quickly, but you can even take like a hair dryer to dry it a little bit more. So I feel like that time definitely did help. I think I see a little bit of blush still here too, but especially down here, it looks a lot better makeup wise. So I'm just gonna make sure I have it all wrung out here. And I think that looks pretty good. For this one, since I didn't use any additional product, I think I'm just gonna run it under the sink. That's about it. So I'm just going to kind of leave that one be also. And I can put a pinned comment up letting you know how long I noticed that it took to dry, because you know, definitely with regular makeup sponges, and I keep comparing this to a sponge because that's what I use the most for a lot of these uses and things like that. It's just kind of my most used makeup tool is a sponge, so that's why I keep comparing the two. But you know, I'll definitely see how long it takes and if it still feels nice and soft or things like that. But wanted to share the cleaning with you. I don't notice anything like funky going on, like, you know, looks to be in good shape at this moment. Same with the smaller one, though I really didn't, you know, I just kind of just got this one wet. So that is where I'm going to set the sponges, and that is it for this video, ending it in the bathroom. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope that you found it helpful. Let me know some comments down below. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe before you go, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.